Thanks for joining us for another Kickstarter conniption. Today we're looking at Dawnshade from Highborne Games.
And as always, we want to make sure that you're aware that our Kickstarter conniption videos are sponsored in part by our Kickstarter backers and by the creators of this game. And thanks for joining us yet again at Tantrum House Studio 3. I'm Will Meadows.
And I'm Sara Meadows, and today we're looking at Dawnshade from Highborne Games. It's from designer Ty Vance and Jet Riker, and illustrated by Dennis Doherty and Mila Hancock.
This is a 1 to 4 player JRPG game that has a little bit of dexterity stuff built in as well. It takes about 60 minutes to play. Highborne Games was kind enough to send us a prototype copy to check out, so let's take a look at how it's played.
To set up the game, lay out the Vaki, battle, and quest mats.
Give each player their unique player boards and set all of their stat dials. Give them a reference card, ability cards, dice, and Cogbot chips and money.
Create the quest deck for your player account, place out the Watcher Blessing tokens, and then load the Vaki board with colored Vaki chips and markers.
Determine who's getting the active player token, and then you're ready to begin.
On your turn, you'll determine where on the board to travel, either revealing a new tile or returning to a village or outpost.
As each tile is revealed, new adventures will unlock, presenting you with decisions to make.
Will you take the mountain pass, investigate the cave, or ride a zeppelin made of tent scraps?
Each option will present you with a different type of challenge to overcome. Some may be dexterity based, others will have you pushing your luck, and some will have you depending on successful dice rolls.
Some will lead you into battle against monsters, and if you fare well, you'll receive rich rewards and get to level up your heroes.
Each time you travel to a new location, the threat level increases, and once you reach the final level for the adventure you're playing, you'll have to face the major threat.
Hopefully you've gathered the right items and up your stats, because surviving the final battle is a feat only for the bravest Petarukans.
If your kinship is able to survive, then it's on to the next adventure. In Dawnshade, players take on the role of Petarukans, which are a race of creatures who are trying to help the Chosen One, Kimber, bring balance to the Watchers.
In the game, your band of creatures, the kinship, will be working together on your quest. You will come across a new tile probably on your turn, and you will need to decide which path you will take. Some paths may be something like going to the tavern and playing a specific game at the tavern. Some of them are dexterity games. Or you may want to talk to a specific person that you've encountered in the village, or maybe you want to go investigate this item that you can see off in the distance.
Yeah, there's a lot of really fun opportunities and choices to be made in the game. They're billing this as a JRPG, which I've never really heard in the board game sphere, but basically it's a Japanese roleplay game, so kind of like Final Fantasy or something. You are heading out on a main quest, but then you've got lots of opportunities along the way to try to do a lot of different things. Some of those are dexterity, some of those are rolling dice. When you're battling against monsters, the way the battle system works in the game is really slick. You basically pull out tokens that represent the baddies that you're fighting, and then you'll stack up their health tokens and their shields based on what their information is on their token. It'll tell you how many dice to roll, so everything goes pretty smoothly. You're going to actually kind of pull out of a hat the tokens to determine initiative order, which is pretty neat. And then you're basically just going to duel it out and see if you can beat them over a certain number of rounds in order to level up your character and gain rewards and loot.
Yeah, and battling isn't the only thing in the game. There's a lot of stuff going on as far as every tile that you reveal will be something different. It's got a meaty logbook to help you on your quest, and everything is laid out nicely, so you'll go to event number 4 and read through the narrative for it. It has a very rich lore and story that goes along with the entire Dawnshade game, and so you'll follow through. You'll have choices that you'll need to make if you are the active player, and other players can join along and hopefully help you beat the quest or whatever you are trying to do and give you success.
Yeah, the game is very thorough in its storyline, which is very great. It's also really solid in its graphic design. Everything kind of fits together very nicely. As we mentioned, we're looking at a prototype, but all the components fit together really well. Looks really great, has a really nice table presence. All the art looks very sharp. Really enjoyed the just visual appeal of this one myself.
Yeah, and even though it does come with a lot of components and a meaty logbook, the gameplay itself isn't extremely difficult. It feels very much like a lot of the video games I've played growing up, where you go on a quest and you get to decide where to go and decide what you're going to do as a group. So all of that fits very well together.
Yeah, and your turn initiative, like who's in charge of each turn, is going to rotate as well. I think this is going to do a great job to kind of mitigate alpha player actions, because you are the player on your turn. You get to decide which one of these 3 event type of things that you're going to pursue. If the guy who is playing with you doesn't like that idea, like on his turn, he can go back to the village and get different gear and do all kinds of different stuff. So you've got a lot of good choices to make on your turn, but they are pretty narrow. Like, okay, so I'm choosing 3 things. It's totally different from the 3 things that somebody else chose before. Hopefully I can log, up the stats on my character in a way that makes me the strongest and best character in the party. And even though we are working together, especially to fight the monsters, it didn't necessarily feel like, like we were all just following the same story. Like we all kind of had our own goals and things that we were trying to achieve. Just a really broad opportunity to play in the game.
Yeah, if this sounds like something you're interested in, you can check out Dawnshade from Highborne Games, coming to Kickstarter. And then thanks again for subscribing and checking out our videos here at Tantrum House.
Game, lots of things to say about it.
Yeah.
Alright, try again.
Okay.
When you play the game, there might be things like dexterity challenges.
Let's not do that.
There might be things like dexterity challenges. All creatures who live in the world.
That is not at all what the script says.
Of Kimber the Chosen One. Oh gosh. Are you reading it? Do you know what it means?
I mean, I know what it means, but I don't...
Okay, you say it. Ready, go.
Oh, man. I have pictures that you come across, and I'm taking a really long time to say my words. So I'm going to stop right there. Patient, probably, and see what will be... sorry.
See what will be.
See what will be. Dennis Doherty and Mila Hanlon.
Mila Hanlon.
Mess that one up again.
I think we got it.